This is The Naked Life with Roxanne Noor. Hello, Ty.
Hey, Roxy.
Thank you for coming today. I was really excited for this conversation, actually, because I feel like it's really significant to my own life and your role, what you do, dream interpretation, dream analysis, being basically an astral guide for people. I feel like it has a lot of really significant material. And I recently actually read some of the Red Book by Jung, and so much of his philosophy is around dreams being this bridge between the unconscious and the conscious mind, between the unconscious and the collective and the unconscious within self, and how individuation and having this wholeness is so important in life, and the only way in which we can really do it is through going into our subconscious mind, and the dream really being a way in which we find symbolic matter. So I think the work you do is actually really, really important. And I'm really curious, first of all, like why you think dreams are significant and important, and even maybe touching upon how it's been significant within your world, but also your client's world.
Yeah, so dreams are an untapped resource. It's something we all have access to, but most of the world is not using it. So it's like this free tool we're given by life, somehow miraculous, but it's untapped, it's unused. But there are some cultures, even to this day, that have practices of, in like some parts of like South America, for example, just one example, that will interpret their dreams together as a community, share their dreams and do interpretations, and even drink tea around it as part of a whole ritual. So it's part of their practice. Because there's a lot of information there that we can use practically. Like it might be a dream that's so wild and whimsical, but we can extract really practical information to help us with our lives, to help us to integrate that growth, that change, to get insights and clarity. So there's a lot of information there.
Beautiful.
How it's affected myself is just in that as well, just being able to interpret the dreams and not using a dream book. When I did start out when I was 14, is when I first got into dreams. I've had a dream book, had the interpretations, I'd look up the symbol, and sure, if you're using a tool, the way the universe works is if you're using a tool, generally your dreams will even match that book, for example, that dream interpretation book. But I generally like to encourage to put the dream interpretation guides aside. And now we're going to start tapping into how can we interpret the symbols for ourselves. So one example is a lion dream. Let's just say a few different people dream of a lion dream. For you, maybe your parents are zoologists. You grew up with lions, getting to cuddle lions, which would be really lucky situation. But you get to cuddle lions, they're gentle, you get to play with them. So what a lion means for you might be different than someone who actually grew up in a part of Africa where they don't go out past sunset, past dusk, dawn, until, without a group of people. Because they know lions are a real threat to them, actually. They respect them, they know certain times they just don't go out alone. Because maybe they've even had, people they've known have been taken by lions. It's just part of nature. They're gonna have a different experience than you that got to cuddle lions. And someone who's only seen lions on TV. There could be infinite interpretations of what a lion means to me. But there will be something there if I look. So what does a lion represent to me? What does whatever I dreamt about represent to me, not what this book says? And this also helps to tap into our intuition, because now we're just starting to really tune into ourselves, and it's working that muscle of inner listening.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like the way you describe it as inner listening, because it feels like it is. I also did the same thing in the beginning with dreams that I was like very perplexed about, or where there seems to be like contradictory emotions. Sometimes then I'll look up the symbol, because I'm like, okay, if this is just in the collective unconscious and it's actually maybe similar for everyone. But I like the idea of it being more personal and more based on your history than anything else. So I think we can just get into the actual process that you have for guiding people in the interpretation. So you told me that there is different types of dreams. You can also touch on that. the different types and then how we would interpret based on the types of dreams that are being delivered to us.
Okay, yeah, so just a few step process. The first one is, okay, I just wrote down this dream. Was this a literal dream? What I mean by literal dream is this a dream that applies to my everyday life? A situation that's happening, like you're at work, you're stressed at work because of a certain situation, and you dreamt about it. That's a very literal dream, usually doesn't need interpretation. It's coming up and you can see, okay, how can I work with this? Like maybe there's some information there, but it's literal. It's actually what's happening. Other dreams where, again, they're just things that are happening and maybe there's a dragon, there's things that we don't normally encounter in this life, waking reality. Those dreams need interpretation. So the first thing I want to do is write down what stood out to me in the dream. So just any character, anything, any place, anything that stood out to you in the dream, you just make note of that in your journal. The next step is looking at each item, each thing that stood out to you. Again, person, place, thing, doesn't matter, anything. And we're going to write down what feelings or what do those things represent for me? What does the eagle represent for me? What does a tropical beach represent for me? Anything you dreamt about that stood out, what do those things represent for me? And you write those down under each one. Now we've got some information to work with. I know what visual cues were there, the feelings and thoughts that were there, because the most important thing is not what you see, but it's what the feelings that bring out for you. So the feeling is the healing, as we talked about. So that's the main key. And so now we've got this information written down, thoughts, feelings, what we saw. Usually you can find some sort of message there for yourself. And now we can the third step, we can write down a message. We can actually just organize that into a message for ourselves. And taking that a step further is we can write it into like an affirmation or a mantra, whatever we felt the lesson was in that dream, and write it somewhere we're going to see it throughout the day. Put it on your phone, set it as a reminder, repeat every day, write it on your mirror, wherever. Just now we want to actually integrate this lesson. We don't want to just have a journal and just journal it and then it's gone. But we're going to keep getting dreams until we really work with it. But we can speed up that process of growth by seeing that message every day and starting to embody it and integrate the wisdom.
Yeah, that's, well, what I loved the most that you said was like the feeling is the healing, and also the whole process of recognizing. So you can recognize the message after the interpretation and then integrate it into your life. But a different approach that I've also worked with that I really like is the recognition in general that you are in a dream, and then the ability to work with it like head on directly. So what I've noticed is the more and more I'm able to recognize firstly that I'm in a dream, the more I'm able to confront certain things that were coming repetitively. So an example of this is someone or myself, I used to get dreams of being chased like very, very often. And it wasn't until I could recognize that I was in a dream and being chased that I could actually like face the person head on instead of running. When you recognize you're in the dream, you change the narrative. And so then I pivot instead of, wait, like I'm in a dream, why am I running away from you? I'm facing the person I'm running away from. And maybe they vaporize and they disappear. But I feel like another way that's really beautiful to work with the lessons is when we're actually in the astral realm. And we're able to recognize that, okay, this is the dream state and I can face those fears, and those fears will naturally dissipate the more I can confront them. And Jung also talked about this, about why nightmares are so important. And it's all of the stuff, like all our memories, all the things we fear, we're able to confront it in a way in which we're actually safe. So our physical body isn't being hurt. It's obviously very mental. And when we're able to recognize that we're in the dream state, to then rewrite the story. So both approaches to me are really intelligent, because I feel like a lot of the time it's like a real practice to even recognize you're in a dream. So the first step would be then remembering the dream itself, like you were talking about, having the whole interpretation of it, the feeling, the messages, and then integrating that into everyday life through a mantra or whatever else. But yeah, I would love to also speak to you about lucid dreaming and the clarity we feel when we can recognize that we're actually in a dream, or even steps that you've seen where people can learn how to recognize they're in dreams, because for me that's been the real healing, is I can actually have control of my own psyche in a way. And the more and more I can become familiar with the astral realm, the more and more I see the way reality and the astral realm merge, and that there's just so many levels to this reality and they're all very relevant.
I like how you put that. Yeah, so there's many levels to this reality, and it's all just experience. It's not like we have to even separate them. It's just all like different experiences. One thing real quick before going into lucid is just remembering dreams. So a lot of people have trouble remembering dreams. Many things you could do, but one of the most simple things is just get a dream journal. You might have your normal journal, but get a separate journal. This is my dream journal. Put it by your bed. You got the visual cue at night, and it'll just start to get in your subconscious that, all right, I'm going to start remembering my dreams. And just having a journal alone is enough usually to actually just to start remembering.
I would agree with that, and I would also say, because I've done this practice a lot myself, is first thing in the morning. Like, to me, when I'm able to catch the grist of it, is like, as soon as I wake up, I will go and I will write everything. And there's something with that moment when you first wake up between the astral and actual reality, where things are like still sitting. Because I know a lot of people, they're like, oh, my dream, and then by the time it's 10 minutes later, they're like, actually, I'm awake now and I'm like forgetting already, and only 10 minutes have passed. So I would also recommend, if people want to go deep into it, like immediately, like at least that's what I was doing as soon as I wake up in the morning.
Yeah, definitely, because actually you'll wake up and you'll remember your dream so fresh. You're like, oh, I'll just go, I know this so clear, I'm going to go brush my teeth and check my messages, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
So but it feels so clear in that moment, but it just dissipates.
Yeah,
so right away.
Immediately. Another thing that also helped me for remembering dreams, and then also seeing if I'm in a dream, is I would did little messages all over my bedroom. So it would be in my cupboard, it would be in one of my books. I would just write to myself, are you dreaming? And just constantly questioning this reality, and because it makes you more aware if you're dreaming or not later on.
Yeah, so these are lucid dreaming. So these are reality checks.
Yeah.
That's the terminology that's been used. So reality checks. So that's a good one. Put the notes everywhere. You just start to see them. You're just starting to regularly question, am I dreaming or not? So then when you go into your dream state, there's a good chance that you're going to actually have that same, maybe you're going to see a note in your dream. You're going to have that same questioning. There's many reality checks out there. One is checking the time. So throughout every few hours, if you really want to do lucid dreaming, every few hours, you look at your time and close your eyes or look away and look back and see, is it the same time it was just a moment ago? Because usually in a dream, you're going to look back, the phone's not even there, or whatever watch is not there, or the numbers are floating. It's going to be different. So just check the time every few hours. Other one is, touch your palm and feel how physical it is. Am I dreaming or am I awake? And ask that question. Am I dreaming or am I awake? And you do that again throughout the day. And in your dream, you're likely going to do that same thing. Am I dreaming or am I awake? And your hand might pass through. One funny thing, side note, one time this reality check failed me in a dream. So mostly that'll work, but it failed me once, where I questioned if I was in a dream because I noticed an object changed color. And so I did this check, and I felt it just normal. So it's I guess I'm just tripping. I just thought that cup changed color, but I guess I'm not. I'm awake in reality.
It's so interesting also the way our own mind tries to trick us. I remember also what helps me with realizing I'm in a dream is like precision to detail. So really watching things in a precise manner and seeing if they're not congruent with reality. One thing I noticed was I was walking in my dream and I looked down at my hand, and my hand had red nails. And I was like, that's weird. I don't paint my nails. And as I said that in my dream, the red nails fell off, and it was just like my normal hands. And I was like, oh, that's completely normal somehow. I just went about my dream. Yeah. And that's obviously weird because in real life that would never happen. But somehow it's just like my mind allowed me to just be completely in the dream state and not lucid.
Yeah.
Yeah. These little like tricking yourself almost. It's so interesting.
Yeah, but generally reality checks is the way to go. It's just getting yourself, am I dreaming or am I awake? And I like how you work with your dreams in the dream space, like face the fear, stop running, face it. A dream example I had was a shark. I've often dream of animals. And so it was shark. Sharks for me at the time represented fear. I hadn't yet swum with them, but they represented fear in real life. They represented fear. So they were a recurring character, just representing fears, general fears in my life. And I'm underwater in this dream, and this big, great white shark is coming with its mouth open, as they do, and looking intimidating. And then I realized I was in a dream. So I didn't try to get away. I remembered what I've seen in videos. What do? If a shark approaches you, first you maintain eye contact, you face your fears. Then you put your hand on the nose of the shark, and you can redirect it and flip it over, and they become placid. Once I did that, I flipped over my shark, the fear, it shrunk, and I realized that this fear that I think is so big and scary, it was just this little baby shark in my hand. So,
yeah, it's a really good metaphor for life, is actually facing things head on. And also with just tying it back to what you said in the beginning, the feeling is the healing, how it's not necessarily really about the content itself. It's more about what that's really symbolized to you, and in the body too. When you wake up, how you felt. Is your heart beating really fast? Are you anxious? Do you feel soothed and calm, and you can almost go back to sleep because it was so nice? And I remember one friend telling me her dream, and just when she told me, she was like, yeah, I was in this river and these girls were attacking me, and usually in my dreams I'd run away, but I started choking them both, and then I drowned them and I killed them. And she was like, and it wasn't like I was a bad person in my dream. She was like, it was the most empowering dream I've ever had, because in all my other dreams I would have run away and it would have been like a chase, but in this dream was a feeling of my own strength. And at that time it was really funny too, because she was training a lot in Muay Thai, and she was feeling more of this, like just working on the physical was also making her feel more like mentally fit, and that she could take care of herself. And it was so interesting. Yeah.
One thing to add, I didn't clarify this in the dream interpretation, is what we're looking at, like in the dream you just shared, is that everything in the dream is a reflection of an aspect of yourself. So that's where I call it like self-empowered dream interpretation. It's like, okay, everything I'm seeing is just a reflection of me, and what feelings are they bringing out, like we said, but everything as a reflection. That's the general way that the lens that I look through and teach others to look through is that lens.
Nice. And then, yeah, more and more with lucid dreaming. So we talked about remembering dreams, but what else do you feel like, what is the importance of lucid dreaming? Or basically, let's define it for people. Like, how would you define exactly a lucid dream?
For me, and this may not be like this is just my own take on lucid dreaming, is that by practicing lucid dreaming and becoming, like you mentioned, just noticing the subtle changes, the subtle things that happen in a dream that don't normally happen in waking reality. That's presence. That's present moment awareness. So I've found that by practicing being lucid and just being able to just notice those fine little details, that also transfers over to the waking reality, like one and the same, just being aware, just being present. That's enough even in itself to start being lucid. I'm not sure if I answered your question.
No, it did in a way. And I guess the definition of lucid is like this form of clarity, basically. And if you can be in a dream and realize you're in a dream and control it through, basically you're controlling it because you're aware. It's exactly like you said, it's this state of presence. And then carrying that into daily life, so we're not sleeping in waking life. The more repetitious we are, the less we are paying attention. It's almost like falling asleep while we're awake. And so the more there's awareness, the more there's this noticing and like this attention given to what's in front of us. And then the more, I guess a better word than control is the more we can work with it, the more things can happen in our favor, because it's just our awareness, our perception that is changing everything in front of us. So I'd say lucid dreaming is really, really important. And like I said, for when things happen that you don't want, so not even necessarily a nightmare, but you're just confronted with something that like just you have aversion to. And when you can face it in the lucid dream and watch it dissipate, is like, it's such a powerful experience in letting go of fear. I would say one thing that really helped me with repetition of dreams as well before I got into lucid dreaming and got good at it was just talking about my dreams to people and not feeling shame, because there's so many dreams I've had that are so perverse, so fucked up. Like when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, am I a bad person? Like this is so crazy. And I would think to myself I would never do this in real life, but I remember like a couple really sexually dark dreams I had, and a lot around rape and my father raping me and really dark things. I remember just voicing it to my sister, and it stopped. Like all it took was me telling someone and not feeling shame around it, and it was enough for it to stop, because it was happening. The rape dreams were happening all the time, and just talking to someone I trusted about it, my sister, was like, wow, it just completely stopped.
Yeah, sometimes it just needs attention, or just to be spoken.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, with the lucid dreaming too, the main go-to thing with most of us do is, I want to fly, right? I want to be lucid and fly, which is a lot of fun. So I do recommend it. Also, is not trying to control every lucid dream, and just to be the conscious, the aware observer. So now you're lucid in your dream. Now you can really just watch. You're inside your subconscious. Or if you're at astral realm, a whole different story. But let's just say we're inside of our subconscious, fully aware and present. We can just observe. I had a dream where I was walking down a road, and no cars, just myself. And I was fully aware. I became lucid. And so I was just enjoying the walk and during this forest road. And then this little kid on a little tricycle, little three-wheeler, like 5-year-old kid, came cruising down, and I jumped so he wouldn't hit me. I was like, that's interesting. That's a little my inner child, you know. So just being aware in the dream and not always controlling it, to see what information is there. So that can be fun to do too.
That's a really good point.
Not always controlling.
Yeah. I feel like I go naturally more into the manipulation realm, or controlling, or having awareness of my actions, that I'm able to basically create a line that I want to, but still things are happening out of your control either way.
Yeah. And there's no right or wrong way, what I'm sharing. It's just another way.
Yeah. I would actually like to try just the resting way, how you're saying, just noticing. It's nice. You also talked about, so we touched upon, lucid dreaming, and then basically like reality. It's just, what was the word you used in the beginning?
Oh, a literal dream?
And literal reality. Yeah, it was just literal. Same. Yeah. Literal reality, lucid dreaming. And then what is visitation? How would you describe visitation?
Visitation dream, what's interesting about that is, like, most people that share a visitation dream will usually say the same language. It just felt so real. It felt more real. Something along those lines is the most common thing I would hear many times. The dream just feels more real. Like you mentioned earlier, I think you told me earlier that you were like laying in your bed, but you were in, like, so okay, I'll take a step back, rewind. So let's just say you dream you're in your kitchen and of your house. It's the same. There's nothing different about it. Usually in a dream, like subconscious dream, it's going to be different, but it'll be your kitchen, but it's different. But things just are normal. Usually they're just more real. Usually more mundane, like we're just having a conversation, there's just a meeting happening, there's not flying elephants, it's just very normal. They just feel more real. That's really, long story short, they feel more real. A visitation could be from, often more common, it's like past loved ones, past people we've known that have passed, that have died and left Earth. So that's a common one.
So visitation is almost a mix of the kind of literal one. In a way, it's like literal reality, but you're being visited by something which isn't in this present reality.
Yeah, you're not necessarily just like in your subconscious. You're actually having a meeting with someone, where that person will remember that meeting too. Like you're actually meeting up, whether they've passed, someone you've known that's not here anymore. But sometimes we meet with people that are even still here alive. We'll just sometimes meet in the dream space. But again, they just feel more real. Also animals. I've had animals that have passed that have visited me. And also animals that are still here that I'm just haven't seen for a while, that we also visit sometimes in the dream space.
Oh,
and they just feel very normal and real.
Yeah.
Normal is not the best word, but yeah.
Yeah. And so What do you think is, I wanted to ask you this also touching upon, so the different types of dreams. Would you say the interpretation of them also depends on the type of dream, or how do you go about the interpretation process based on which type of dream it is?
Yeah, for sure. So some of the things you're looking at the dream is you'll know as you start to write down your dreams and start to just bring more attention to them. Again, was it a literal dream? Yes or no? Was it a visitation? Was it just like a communication happening? Yes or no? And you'll just know if you need to interpret it, because you can't make sense of it.
Yeah.
But sometimes there's also, this isn't an official term, I just call it DM dreams, direct message dreams. So those dreams are just very direct messages. Often they're one-liners, not just for myself, but others that have shared this. They're often just one-liners that are really helpful, relevant information for your life at that time. One was many years ago, I was climbing a mountain, but I was fear of falling, and this voice said, "You can only go up." And it was connected to my life, I was fear of falling, failing, but it's like, no, you can only go up. Just listen, that's another one. Was a bird in a tree, and it's like, just listen. It was just giving me the wisdom, just listen, just notice life, just pay attention, just listen. Those are just two examples, but usually very clear and direct, just one-liners, direct message dreams.
Yeah, that's a really nice way to describe it. Because it feels like even when I try to remember dreams, when I'm not aware that I'm in a dream and then later I wake up, I remember, I feel like a lot of mine aren't very dialogue heavy. So there's more action basically. And when there is dialogue, it's kind of like you said, it's usually direct messages. It's usually just really short things I'll remember, just one line that someone said. And it's so simple usually. It's not anything super long or eloquent, or it's just very simple.
Yeah, and they're very unique. The messages I just say are just listen, or you can only go up. That was for me at that time. At that present time in my life, I knew exactly what it meant. And usually you will know exactly what it means. There's no interpretation needed.
Another thing I wanted to ask you about is sleep paralysis, and what you think gets us in those states and how we can liberate ourselves from sleep paralysis. I used to suffer from it quite badly when I was younger, and it would be very scary for me. And more it happens less and less. But for people that suffer from sleep paralysis, maybe we can first have you define what you've seen maybe in yourself or your own clients, and then the process of getting out, or maybe just allowing it, whatever you think.
Yeah, I don't remember the study, but there was a study done that generally when someone's having regular sleep paralysis, it's usually a time of stress and anxiety in life, why that's happening. What's the actual mechanism of causing that? I'm not sure. But generally a time of stress and anxiety, more sleep paralysis. But what it is the hypnagogic state. So it's a hypnagogic state where the signal, our body has relaxed and gone into sleep mode. The signals from our brain for our motor functions have nearly turned off. They're so faint that we might become awake still mentally, but the body is asleep, and now it's I can't move. But it's because the signals to your brain, to your motor functions, have turned off. They're gone into sleep mode, but you're awake. That's sleep paralysis, hypnagogic state. Sometimes people feel there's an entity, a spirit or something sitting on them. Not that doesn't happen sometimes, but generally it's just that sensation of being disconnected from the motor functions, that you feel a pressure on your chest. A lot of people get scared during that. It's not a fun feeling, not being able to move. But it's not anything to be afraid of. It's literally just the firing of the brain signals, and knowing that it's nothing to be afraid of, you can just oh, okay, this is interesting. Just check it out. Check out that state. Interesting. See if you can move your fingers and see in your body, you'll start to get your functions back, but it's nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah. I guess especially when I got them when I was younger, it would be I'm in sleep paralysis, and then I'm also pretty much in a dream at the same time. And so that part was almost scary to me, especially when I was younger and I could not really control my dreams. So there was awareness I was in a dream, but I was it's crazy how much you still feel things. And I remember Yeah, as I told you, I would get a lot of rape nightmares and sleep paralysis also around rape nightmares. So I remember one dream, I still remember it like perfectly. I was laying naked at an end of a pool. In the pool, all the water was like a really soft pink. And this old man was swimming towards me. And in the dream, I felt he was going to rape me. And I was just laying there, but I couldn't move because obviously your motor functions are all turned off. And I was just like, yeah, there was just this tension. And like you said, the pressure in the chest, all of these things happening within the body. And then this fear of this man swimming towards me. And as he got up and he came up from the pool naked, I was naked and I was like, wow, I'm about to get raped by this man. A dove flies into my stomach and I feel this like explosion of pain, like just flies into me and I'm just broken open. And then that's when I woke up. And when I woke up, the feeling in my stomach was like fiery, was like just being ripped apart. And yeah, it was so scary. These things would really happen so continuously. But it's also interesting because at that point in time, because I was so young, I didn't analyze the dream at all. I just had that feeling of fear. And now it's interesting to look at it because if you think about what a dove symbolizes, or at least to me what it symbolizes is, and this is kind of more of a collective thing as well, is purity. And instead of the man entering me and killing me, like I was opened up, I was torn open by the symbol of purity. And so looking back at it now, it's almost like there's nothing to fear. Even if this man rapes me, I'm still pure. Like what I am, my essence cannot be taken away, that purity. And yeah, that's actually really, that's nice, heavy stuff to work with.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
And powerful imagery of a dove flying into your stomach. Dreams are amazing. Like we don't have to interpret them all either. Sometimes we're not going to be able to figure it out, and that's fine. Like don't stress it. Just let it go.
Yeah.
And then just see if you get the next one. Like that's one thing too. Just keep it light, loose, fun. And it's, even though the content isn't always fun, it's fascinating. It's fascinating.
That's the best way to look at it. And I think actually all of material of life is like, it's all interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah.
Even the dark matter, it's like, wow. And I mean, even just artists, I think, would say the same thing. I'm friends with this one writer, and she's a Jungian psychoanalyst, and she always says, like, the darkest matter is the most interesting to work with. That's the stuff where it's like, that's why also dreams are interesting. All the stuff that you are ignoring in your daily life, all the stuff you are suppressing, repressing, it will all come up in the astral realm. And if you're not looking at it, the more and more it will repeat itself. So if we see it as just something interesting to chew on and to work with, and yeah, letting go of these notions, like I said, for me, letting go of the notion of shame was really important, being able to speak about it with people, being able to write about it, and write about it like clearly and as it happened, is such a powerful tool.
Definitely. And what you just shared there reminded me of a dream I had, which connects to a couple things. So for one, you've mentioned like there's like collective interpretations or meanings of some things. So in saying, you know, what does something represent to me, it's still open to like those collective interpretations, like water representing emotion. You know, we have tears. Running, representing, fear, for example, running from something. So that's still there. So it's really just keeping it open, but the emphasis on what does it mean to me. So in this dream, it was a nighttime, and it was in the ocean, it's a pretty scary thing to be in the ocean at night. You can't see, but I knew I had to swim down. So the ocean, again, representing emotions, the subconscious, the depths of the subconscious. So I went down into the darkness, swam down, and then I discovered a cave. And this opened up. In the cave, inside was just the walls were covered in the most luminescent, colorful coral. It gives me chills. It was so beautiful. With like at the depths of the emotions, at the depths of the subconscious, there was this gem I found, this beautiful room, this space. But then when it came time to go back to the surface, I look up and see how far away I am. I got scared, started to panic and tried to panic swim, and I got stuck. I couldn't swim. And then I remembered, if I just relax and take my time, I'll get there more efficiently. I'll make my way back out. I'm not going to get lost in this darkness. Yeah, there was just some things there. So.
Yeah, and you bring up a really good point also with sleep paralysis, and when you notice that you're in sleep paralysis as well, like your dream, your message you got from it, I think is just linked to sleep paralysis, is the relaxation actually of when you are in a situation, whether it's you being underwater and having this fear of coming back up, or it's you recognizing you're in sleep paralysis, something with just relaxing into the sensation is like making everything so much better in general.
Let's apply that to everything in life.
Yeah.
That's a common theme I feel in a lot of our dreams is relax. It's okay. You're fine. You're safe. Take your time. Slow down. Just listen, observe, trust.
Yeah, all these messages and how it's just so integral in what we do and what we are. Yeah. Do you have anything that you want to leave viewers with, or any message you have, or any other stories that you think are important to touch upon?
I would say, for one, I encourage everyone to, if you're not already, to get a dream journal and just start exploring your dreams. Keep it light, loose, and fun. All the interesting material. I mean, there's been well-known novels, movies that have come from dreams. There's many, yeah. Like Avatar, the characters for Avatar came from not James Cameron's dream, but his mom's dream about these tall, 10-foot tall, blue-skin E.T. beings that she met with in her dreams. That's how we got the Avatar character. Twilight, yeah, that came from a dream that the writer had. She had a dream of a vampire boy and a human girl sitting in a park with sparkly skin, and he wanted to eat her, and that became Twilight. And there's so many more that have come from dreams. So it's not just scientific breakthroughs, Pulitzer Prizes, like the structure of the atom. The guy first had a dream about it, and then he went back and figured it out. There are so many things, like actual medical and scientific Pulitzer Prizes. It's always a tricky one to say.
Pulitzer, yeah.
Yes, thank you. That have come from dreams. So it's not just, there's so much more there. So just enjoy it. Just enjoy it. Yeah, just enjoy it. Explore it, enjoy it.
Yeah, it's a great way also for I feel like also solving problems, and that's also with creative blocks. I feel like for people that are writers or directors or musicians or whatever their art form is, so many things are answered within the astral realm. I feel like a lot of the questions that are circling in our mind before we sleep, our dreams can answer them. Even when I think about one of my first dreams that I really remembered was when I was young and I was first learning to write, I kept making the letter C backwards. And my teachers were getting frustrated. They're like, no, a C is this way, not this way. And I just did not understand how to do it in real life. And I remember thinking about it before I slept, like, I don't understand how to draw this. Am I gonna fail kindergarten? Like just this, wow, I'm not a good student, or yeah, having these fears. And I went to sleep, and in my dream was just me writing the letter C over and over and over again. When I woke up in the morning, I went to my desk and I could write the letter C in the correct direction. And I feel like there's so many ways in which, too, with my writing, when I'm pondering something over plot or what to do, like the story is deadening, I don't know what's missing, like just having obsessive thoughts about something, our dreams answer so many of the things that we're consistently thinking about, and that actually our conscious mind is keeping us from it, because it's just we're trying to analyze or we're trying to put rationale, and just in dreams there's just that state of allowing sometimes without rationalizing everything. We're just kind of doing, and so it's super helpful.
One of my favorite uses of dreams, actually, glad you brought this up, is setting an intention for creative inspiration. Whatever it is, like I said, some of these scientific breakthroughs were actually, some were intentional, like I want to discover this. So just setting an intention to have a dream on a specific topic for whether it is clarity or creative, it doesn't matter, but you can actually set an intention, what I want to dream about. It may not happen the first night, and it might, but just set the intention and let it go, and let it arise when it does. But yeah, I've received songs from dreams and other creative project ideas. And,
yeah, such a great resource. Yeah, so thank you so much for this conversation. I feel like it clarified a lot of things that I've already been interested in, and also gives me more fire to keep doing this kind of work just for myself, because it's so interesting and it's so poignant in understanding myself and just the human condition. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.